For whatever reason, there's not exactly been a lot of great comedies made over the past several years. So it's always welcome when one breaks the cycle. Niles is a man very out of place at a well-to-do wedding, though he easily endears himself by saying all the right things and doing all the right things at the exact time that they're needed. It soon becomes obvious that we're in a Groundhog Day type situation, and at least a few time loops in. I've seen that movie, you might say, but Palm Springs deviates on a couple of major points. 1. Niles is not the only person stuck in the loop. 2. Groundhog Day is firmly a PG affair, while this certainly is not. At least when it comes to language and sexual content. Violence does play a role here, but mainly to emphasise a moral message. Suffering will absolutely change you, as will intentionally harming others, regardless of whether the loop makes it temporary for them. Balancing those serious moments with the comedic ones is the main reason this works so well as a whole. I've seen this movie described as irreverent. It's not. The dialogue can often be delivered at a quick pace while overly knowing, but that makes complete sense in a situation where foreknowledge is a given. And when scenes need to get serious, they're given the time to do so, without out-of-place quips undercutting the tone. So, as it explores something different within the confines of the formula, it should make you laugh out loud quite a bit, as a genuinely worthwhile mid-credits scene, then gets out of there, all in a tight 90 minutes. That stands in contrast to this next film, if you can even call it that, since it clocks in at a mere 24 minutes. A documentary commissioned by the UK General Post Office, Night Mail details the overnight journey of the Down Postal Special, a mobile post office travelling from Euston in the south of England up to Aberdeen in the northeast of Scotland. 40 men work through the night, sorting 500,000 items of mail on the go, so they can be delivered to their intended destinations along the way. But the train only stops once to load and unload mailbags, so how do they manage it? And don't forget, the mail has to be collected too. And this is where the movie really shines. Despite the limitations of recording equipment at the time, the filmmakers go out of their way to clearly show you all aspects of the process. There's the wonderfully bulky mechanical equipment, the wide variety of communication methods, the human element, and what's required of their strict roles, and of course the beautiful scenery they pass through, including some impressive aerial shots. Due to its age, Night Mail is no longer under copyright, so it's free and very easy to find. Archive.org has the best quality version for both streaming and download, and I put a link to that in this video's description. What happened during our protagonist's previous assignment as a hitman is not clear. The effects are. He's lost who he once was. His military career allowed him to meet his wife, settle down, have a family, a nice home, a decent life. But now his veterancy is used to fulfill kill lists. The new list is accepted out of desperation. It appears straightforward. His targets thank him. There's a lot open to interpretation here, but I believe the core message is the same as in Palm Springs. Never willfully corrupt yourself, or soon your final act will be taken with no connection to reality, and for those too far gone, this is still a triumph of reconstruction. We're given a glimpse into the world's vile, putrid undercurrent, tapped into by all strata of society. Its corruption creates nothing, persisting only by subsuming the potential of those who can, devouring all they could be. Thank you for doing this too. Bring down more. It's worth highlighting the brilliant editing of the story. Quick cuts deliver great detail efficiently, while longer, unbroken shots allow the heavy, greasy atmosphere to linger and seep in. As for how this film feels, for me, the closest thing is the first season of True Detective, although this is a distinctly nasty, grimy British affair. For those unfamiliar or unwilling to engage with Japanese fantasy and animation, Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away introduced that to a larger audience. And if you'd like to explore another studio's output, in this case Chizu, then The Boy and the Beast is a great place to start. Ren is orphaned, partly by fate and partly by choice. He hates the world and its people. Fate grips him once more, and again he chooses to run, this time following some beastly folk into their world. The boy reluctantly becomes an apprentice for sheer survival, while the beast only makes the offer to fulfill what he considers an arbitrary rule. While the two of them bicker and fight as they come to terms with and eventually appreciate their differences, the beast world has to do the same with a human in their midst. Unlike them, humans hold darkness in their hearts, and if given into, nothing but destruction awaits. So what you have is fantasy adventure, mixed with a coming-of-age story and family drama. There's something for everyone, though since it shows a little blood and has a 2-hour runtime, it may not be suitable for very young children. The amazing animation and characterization is plain to see, but of special note is how CGI is incorporated. Most of the time it blends seamlessly, but isn't afraid to stand out where appropriate. In 1999, there was a sci-fi movie with notable special effects, dealing with the uncertainty of reality, casting doubt on who and what can be trusted. Is it even possible to figure out how to claw back firm ground and self-assurance? The Matrix was an incredible success, both in its box office returns and its influence. eXistenZ also fits that initial description, but had the unfortunate pleasure of coming out 3 weeks after The Matrix. It was not a success, and it's easy to see why. Instead of a glossy sheen, it's all gribbly biomech, as befits a David Cronenberg flick. An admirable job is done to introduce this particular flavour of virtual reality to a general audience, but the story is constantly trying to jostle the viewer out of alignment. An odd phrase may be world-building jargon, or an essential clue. Glances and movements may or may not be appropriate for how deep inside the characters are supposed to be. Soon, every behaviour become suspect. And this continues right up until what should be the end. Did the knowledge and experience gained lead to a resolution? Or did it just compound the turnaround further? Much about this movie is guaranteed to be polarising, but even for those that end up disliking it, it will at least be an interesting watch. And listen, due to the excellent score by Howard Shore. And what did he do after this? Oh yeah,